Hello all, welcome back to CyberCreed, and in today's video we are going to see about the multi-threading in Python. And yes, the multi-threading is very important concept that you all should know. So that is the reason why we are creating this video after all. So in this video we will see how multi-threading actually works in Python and what all amazing things that you can do and how you can basically speed up the things that you would normally do in more time, and it can be done comparably in shorter time using multi-threadings. And yes, this is very important because most of the concept of this are used in servers. So first let us try to understand what actually is multi-threading. So in order to understand multi-threading, let me just give you an example. So in multi-threading, what actually happens? If let's say this is your program, you are running without multi-threading, you are actually running your program in parallel. And if let us suppose that there are 3 steps in your program, step 1, step 2, step 3, and you want to run this code. So in normal programs, what it is going to do, it is simply going to run first, it is going to run the first piece of code, then second piece of code, then third piece of code. So it is going to run all of this in series. So let us suppose you might say, hey, what is the importance of threading in this case, because all the things are just running in series, and yes, that is what we want to run. But let us suppose a case that there is the first function is def image, and this function, the first part, this, let us suppose this is the first part, and the function, the work of this function is to download the image from the internet and then save it to your computer. And then the second one, the work of the second function is, let's say, def, this is basically for, let's say, video. So the use of the second function, so let us name it second, and the work of this second function is to download the video. And third, the third one, let us suppose this is the third, so def third, I'm just randomly giving the name, it will make more sense when we will code, but let us suppose there is in the third part there is a function known as article. The work of the third one is to basically fetch the article from the internet and then save it to your computer. So there are 3 functions. The first function is downloading the image and saving to computer. The second one is downloading the video file. So it is downloading the video file. This is downloading just the image. So it is JPEG. And here this is just the article. So it is the TXT, things like that. So if you are thinking of running this program in a, this is inside a single program, these all 3 functions. If you are just trying to call all of these 3 functions in such a manner like first, second, and then third. So in this series order, it is first going to download the image and then it is going to save it to your system. Then it is going to download the video, then it is going to download the article and save it to the text and things like that. But if you are going to use multi-threading, in the duration it is basically downloading the img file from the internet. It is downloading the img file from the internet. In that period of time, our CPU is basically free, because while it is downloading, it is dependent on the internet connection. It is just simply downloading the files. So in that duration itself, so let us suppose, let me just give you some time duration, like this function is running in 2 seconds. This function is running in, let's say, 5 seconds, and this is just running in 1 second. So if you are running in series, this is going to take first 2 seconds. So 2 plus this is 5 plus 1. So it is going to be executed in 8 seconds if you are not using any multi-threading. But if you are using this multi-threading, let's see how the things are going to turn. So while your image is being downloaded, your video also starts getting downloaded, because your thread moves onto the next system. So your video also start getting downloaded, and then your article also start getting downloaded at parallel. All the 3 things are happening at once, because there are 3 threads running on your CPU. As you already know, there are multiple cores onto our CPU, and our CPU can perform multi-threading operation, and that is what a multi-threading is, running multiple of sub-processes. These are the small things, small processes parallelly. All of the things are being running in a parallel way. So in this case, This image will take 2 seconds, but in the same time this already started downloading, and here is the 5 second and here is the 1 second. So this 2 second will just be over. So the total time taken will be just 5 seconds, because within this 5 second this 2 will be over, because they both are working parallelly. So this is the 5 is the maximum time duration here, and that is the reason why it is going to be completed in just 5 seconds. So I think from here you might get quite a bit of idea about the multi-threading and how it can be used. And here I have just given you the sluggish example, just a rubbish example I can say, but in practical life you can be using this to, let us suppose there is a web server that you have created. Let us suppose there is a web server and someone is asking for response. So you don't want your server to just wait for sending the response to this server and then again continue running the server. You just want your server to be running in parallel and then serving your customer. And of course multiple people are going to come. So in that case also we are going to use multi-threading. And let us suppose you need your server to be running, and also you want to be doing some web scraping, getting the data from the internet. So let us suppose there is the internet and you want to get all the data prices of let's say Bitcoin, Litecoin and all other different cryptocurrency, and you want to be sending on the mail, and also you want to be running this on a server. So all of these three things should be done at a parallel. So this is all the places where the multi-threading comes into action. So with that said, with this explanation, we can just go to the code and let's see how the things are done in Python. So in Python it is very easy. We can just use things like we can use import threading, which is used for threading. So import, so here is the import threading. This module is already installed into your Python, so you don't need to install it. And then here we have to let me just write import time. So let me just from time import sleep. So here I am just using the sleep library to show you how much time it is going to take if you are going to run those things without using any multi-threading, and then I will show you the difference if you run in multi-threading. So let us say def fun1, and let me just print inside fun1, and let us make this function to sleep for let's say 2 seconds, as we have seen. Let's say suppose this was the image function, and then def fun, let's suppose this is the video function, and here let me write print in fun2, and let us make it sleep for 5 seconds, and then def fun3, and let it be the least one. So let me just frame the last, and then sleep 1 second. And then let us just run all of these functions one by one. Fun1, fun2, fun3. So let us see the total duration that this code is going to take. So it slept for 2 seconds, now it is sleeping for this 5 seconds, now in last, and this function have completely get executed. So let me just, this took 2 seconds, this took 5 seconds, and this took the last one, the last second. But if we are going to be using multi-threading, so first of all let us see how you can do multi-threading. So for that we need to create the threads. So let us suppose we want one thread to be running our function 1. So we are going to use any variable name. I am just using t1. So t1 is equal to threading, the threading that we have imported, dot thread, and then here we need to pass the target. So here we say target, and then we pass the function name. So let's say fun1, and we don't use any parenthesis. Remember not to use parenthesis, because we don't need to call this function right now. We will call it, and you are going to see how we are going to call it. So let us just simply make the copy of it. And let me just rename this to t2, t3, and then function to fun2, fun3. So here you see, here what we have done, here we have actually just created the thread. We are not running any thread. So you need to start the thread, and then and only then it is going to be working. So if I just simply run the code now, you will see nothing got executed, and here we are. So in order to execute things, we need to run the thread. So here we say t1 dot start. Don't use run, start. Just use start, because start is the one that will start the thread. So t1 dot start, t2 dot start, then t3 dot start, and then if I am going to run this, you are going to see some changes. So here inside function 1, inside function 2, the last. So the last one is not, in this case it was printed in this line, because first in the first second this function got started, and then this function also got started, and the last one also got started. So in the first second this last one was completed, and all of them just got completed in that order. So let me just make just a small change so that the things might be more clear. So let me just put this function after the sleep, so the things will get more clear. So let me just cut it, let me just paste it here, and let's see. So here you see the last one was printed. Why the last one was printed? Because all of them started in the single second. The first second itself all of them started, but as this was the first to complete, like it just took first second, this was completed in the first second, and in the second, after just at the second after the program was started, inside function 1 this was over because it was just taking 2 seconds. Then this function 2 ran because it was taking 5 seconds. So I think this have made the things more clear. You can see how the things just changed by sleeping first and then printing. So you should also keep on practicing things to know where you need to use this multi-threading and how. But there is one more very important thing. What if you want this thread to be running? So in this case, let me just add a statement here. Let me write let me say print, okay, let me write here print done with code. So let me now run the code, and you are going to see some changes. Like done with code was printed at the very first. So is there any way of workaround, because you don't want this to happen, right? So in order to fix this thing, we need to use something as join. So let us look at that, and then we can understand how the things are now changed. So we write t1 dot join, then t2 dot join, then t3 dot join. And now if I run the code, you can see the last one is printed, then this function 1 is going to be printed, and then once everything is over, then this done with the code is printed. So why we use join? So I think you might get it, and if you don't, let me explain. So this join makes sure that these threads are going to the any code below this are going to run only when all of the above thread have completed their work. So only when these threads have completed their execution, this piece of code should be allowed to be executed, or else in most of the cases this join saves us from a lots of danger, because if our code just started running the codes below them, then in some of the cases it might be problematic, in some of the cases it might not be, but here comes the problem. That is why we have used this join. Now we have seen how we can use multi-threading with the function, but one more thing that is remaining here is how about argument. How we can pass argument, like if the function is taking argument. So let us take let me write the name, and let us suppose whatever name I pass, it is writing that name. So if we need to pass the parameter to the function here, this is the function 3, so we have to write args, args, args is equal to, and you can use the rectangle bracket, and here if they are one parameter you can pass one, if they are multiple you can just keep on passing parameters like that. So if I just write my name and if I run the code, here you can see the last Aditya is printed. So this is how you can simply pass the arguments. Here we have the just one variable. If there are multiple variables, like here Aditya and let's say age, and let me just copy write the age, and here you can pass let's say 42, and if I run the code now, you can see this is how the things are going to be working. So this was the brief introduction about the multi-threading, and I hope that you have understood and got multiple of things from this video, and if you did so, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. So thanks for watching, and I will meet you on the next video.